Hi, everyone. Welcome to Prevention Education, the podcast that teaches you everything about prevention. Thanks for listening, and let's get started. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to our podcast. So I'm Kylie Limburger. I'm a prevention specialist for our PFH prevention department, and I have Angela McKim with me. So Angela, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes. Hi, everybody. I'm Angela McKim. I am the Partnership for Success project manager. I'm also a prevention specialist, and I'm very excited to talk with Kylie today.
Yes, we are so lucky to have Angela on our team. She knows so much about PFS and just prevention in general. So we'll hop into it. So today, what we're going to talk about is the 40 developmental assets. And this is something that Angela works in almost every single day. And this is kind of one of the frameworks that kind of, I don't know the word, leads PFS, engulfs PFS, I guess.
Yes, it is one of our 4 focuses. So we spend a lot of time trying to spread the asset message.
Yes. So what, I guess when you say asset message, what are you meaning when you say that?
So I guess we'll start with a little background on the Search Institute. So the Search Institute is a nonprofit organization. It was founded in 1958, and then they began their developmental asset research in 1989. And so the developmental asset framework is based around 2 questions. The first question being, why do some kids grow up with relative ease while others struggle? And the other question being, what are the factors that have an impact on healthy growth and development in young people? Okay. So the 40 developmental assets are 40 strengths and opportunities that have been proven to help kids be successful when they possess these assets.
Okay.
So the data shows us the more assets that youth self-reports that they have, the more likely they are to live a healthy lifestyle, be successful in school. There's a couple other specifics. And then it also shows the more assets, the less likely they are to participate in 12 risky behaviors.
Okay.
So some of those being sexual activity, illicit drug use, truancy with school, violence, things like that.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's a really important program that essentially helps so many kids at the end of the day. And it's not just a kind of one and done program. If it's done by the right people, it's a program that can stay with these students for the rest of their lives, which is super cool.
Yes. And we also really, when we do our asset trainings and when we do try to spread this message, we try to hone in to people that it's technically not a program because there is no start or stop.
Oh,
it's a
good
continuum.
Point. Yeah.
And so that's why it is referred to as the developmental asset framework.
Okay.
So it's a continuum and it is cumulative.
Okay.
So just because a student self-reports that they have 15 assets this year, the more positive people, the more positive assets that they are able to intertwine in their life from the adults around them, the next year they could self-report that they have 30 of those assets.
Okay. That makes sense. So if one of our listeners is curious as to how to, I guess, implement this in their areas, how would they do that?
A really good first step would be, one, you can contact us and we can get you trained. It's called the Everyone's an Asset Builder training. And it's just a 1-hour training via Zoom. And we'll go over what the Search Institute research means, what it means to be an asset builder, what the assets are. And then in our training, we talk more about how these aren't big, huge standout things. Like, you don't have to change your entire life around to be an asset builder.
Yeah.
It's easiest to spread the asset message when you are implementing it into things that you already do in your life.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense.
For example, if you are a T-ball coach, because your child or your niece, nephew, friend's child, whoever is on a ball team, instead of just focusing on that child, really building and investing in the other children as well,
Yeah.
and helping them build those self-esteem, like letting them know, like, if you work hard, you're going to do great things. Kind of achievement motivation is one of them. Having high expectations is an asset. So just by that one person being a ball coach, they could be touching these kids' lives with 10 to 15 assets.
Yeah. I think that's a great point. How you don't need to be the parent or the uncle or
Yeah.
the any related person to these children. You could just be an adult in their life somewhere and you can still show them this framework and kind of the points of it. I think that's a really good point. I love that example
Yeah.
because it's just so it's what's the word? Relatable, I guess. How
Yeah.
it can be
Which
anyone.
my foster kiddo did just start T-ball. So that is what's like
Okay.
fresh on my mind,
Yeah.
because I mean, I really do make an effort to be an asset builder and to like feed into the kids' lives that I'm around. So
Yeah.
I can tell you every name of those kids that are on his team. And it
That's
doesn't matter if
awesome.
he's up to bat or if every kid is up to bat, which of course we're with a great group of other adults and kids. And so everybody cheers for every kid that's up to
Yeah.
bat. Everybody, if a kiddo is having a hard time, everybody's like, it's okay, buddy. Like, you could try again. So being around other asset builders, and another, I don't want to say example, but a funny point of that, those other people, they don't realize that they're being asset builders.
Exactly. Yeah.
I refer to them as that because that's what I do for my job,
Mm-hmm.
but they are just being a caring adult.
Yeah. Which is what
So
every kid needs is just at least
yeah,
one caring adult in their life.
yep. Isn't that the saying? Like, every kid is one caring adult away from having a successful future.
Mm-hmm.
I wholeheartedly believe it.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, yes. And for also for the listeners, but Angela is that one person in so many kids' lives. And it's important to reach out and kind of some things that might seem uncomfortable. Like Angela mentioned, she's a foster parent, even something that seems really big, but thinking about it, making that commitment, and then meeting those kids and seeing how you impact their lives is amazing. And you don't need to foster a kid to make an impact on their kid, but like that's just one way that Angela is dominating in life. Like that's an amazing thing. That's such a selfless thing. And I think it comes down to being selfless at the end of the day too, because when you're an asset builder for someone else, you're devoting your time to them and you're trying to build them up. And
Yeah.
at the end of the day, building them up can really help you to build yourself up too. So it's a win-win situation. And so it just
Yes,
makes sense to be an asset builder and to help the youth in our community. It makes perfect sense.
yes, it is very rewarding. And I am a helper. That's like my Enneagram type. I love to help
Yes.
others and I love to give and give back. And
Yeah.
so obviously I am very passionate about my job and I love what I do. And I love being a foster parent for that reason. I
Yeah.
am helping these children. But again, I'll keep using T-ball because it really does just play in. It ended
Yes.
up being a perfect example. But another one of the assets is being culturally competent, and what is the other? Equality and social justice, and like
Yeah.
interpersonal competence, conflict resolution. And so I get to kind of help expose these children, I guess, necessarily to
Yeah.
a little bit of culture and a little bit of a different situation. Because I mean, we very obviously get asked a lot, like, oh, is that your mom?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, no, I'm not his mom, actually. Like, he lives with me right now. We're friends. Like, I help take care of him. And then his biological mother also comes to his ball games and is very involved, which is amazing.
Wow. Yeah.
So then these kids get to see the whole big picture of it. And so I feel
Yeah.
like that's kind of nice too.
Yeah.
And that's another thing. Like, I didn't intend to do that. I was like, oh, I really need to show these kids how like families can look different. But I did, just because that's a part of my life.
Yeah. Which is amazing. truly
So
is
when we
amazing.
say like being an asset builder is not hard, it's stuff that you already do. I think that's what trips a lot of people up,
Yeah.
because it's not like the Too Good for Drugs program where you say, okay, you teach these 10 lessons and then at the end, you're done.
Yeah.
It's a continuum, it's cumulative, it's just all the time feeding
Yeah.
into these kids and their lives.
Yeah. It's something that can happen and should happen multiple times a day, which is
Yeah.
really great. Hmm. And I love the fact that um, when you take, so the training that Angela mentioned earlier, um, correct me if this is wrong, everyone's an asset builder training, right?
Yep. Yep.
Cool. So if you take that training, and I know I took it and it still stays with me. I work with kids in a hospital and I'm constantly thinking about how I can make these kids' days, how I can help build them up. And I didn't realize that I was an asset builder until after I took that training. And it's like, wow, this is stuff that I do in my everyday life. But taking that training makes you more aware of how you can do that. And then if you're ever stuck with how do I build this child up, then referring back to this training and the knowledge that you gain from that can really help you to help them, which I think is really great.
Yes, for
Hmm.
sure. I think it helps people too. Which the assets are broken down into two categories. There are external assets and internal assets.
Yeah.
So obviously the external ones are easier to put into kids' lives, I guess I would say. But the internal ones, the kids that you're really close to, like I would say for me, like obviously my foster kiddos, my nieces, my cousins, their kids, stuff like that. Because some of those internal assets are being caring, being honest,
Mhm.
responsible. Like I said, the cultural competency, self-esteem, sense of purpose. So
Yeah.
I mean, it would be a little more difficult to just go into a school and be like, hey, buddy, like you have a purpose in this life. You're going to do great things. Well, that's awesome. It's not always as comfortable.
Yeah.
So you
Exactly.
don't feel like you have to be hitting every asset from every single one of these categories. I
Yeah.
think when you say 40, people are like, whoa, that
Hmm.
seems like a lot. But if you think of it as external and internal, and then there are 8 separate categories, so 4 for each, I think
Yeah.
knowing what those are and being able to just say, like, oh, okay, this kind of falls into that category, it doesn't have to be that specific.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's perfect. Hmm. Very nice. Um,
Very
since
nice.
very nice. Since we have listeners on here, hopefully, um, do you have any trainings available in the next coming months? How often are they kind of put out there?
We have been offering one virtual every quarter. And so we did just have one in July. Actually, it was this month, it was a couple weeks ago. So it'll probably be a month or two until
Okay.
we have our next one, especially with our staff rearrangements and everything. We'll be
Yes.
hiring a new staff and getting them trained and everything. Um, Definitely check out our website though, pfh.org/prevention. We have a website calendar on there and it'll take you to the Eventbrite once we do get that scheduled.
Yes. Yeah. And if you ever have any questions, be sure to email us as well. Our kind of prevention email, our prevention department email is moprevention@pfh.org. But if you want to message Angela separately, you can go to our website that she just mentioned, which is pfh.org/prevention. And we have a staff page and you can find Angela's picture and her name and you can click on her and that will also send you to her email too. So if you have any questions whatsoever, definitely feel free to reach out to her as well.
Yes.
So,
And if you are involved with a specific organization or a specific company and you would be interested in hosting a training just for your personnel, we can definitely talk about doing an in-person training or doing one specific for you, because we have a lot of resources that we're willing to give out. And we have what's called a pass it on book. And so the Search Institute has made these pass it on sheets, and it literally says asset building ideas for police officers,
okay.
asset building ideas for faith-based volunteers. Because
Yeah.
one of the categories, one of the assets is like involvement in school, or not school, I'm sorry, church, like faith-based organizations,
Yeah.
and feeling connected and having adult role models. So
Yeah. I think
there
that's a
are a
really
lot
cool
of
point.
opportunities.
Yes. Yes. Well, if you could leave everyone with one thing that you want them to take away from all of this, what would it be?
I'm going to cheat a little because the Search Institute has already kind of summed it up in a one-liner for us, and I really like it.
Yeah.
And that is the power of one, the power of many,
Mm,
because it just takes one person to make a positive impact and make that snowball effect.
yeah. I love
So,
that. That is a
yes,
that's a great message and a great way to end the podcast.
yes,
So, thank you so much, Angela, for hopping on with us this week. And thank you for all those who tuned in to listen. And we hope that you can kind of go back and listen to our other podcasts as well. Um, but yes, thank you guys so much. And we will talk to you next time. So, bye, everyone.
bye, everyone.
Thank you guys so much for tuning into our podcast. Remember to follow us on social media at PFH Prevention. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Spotify, and more podcasting platforms. And make sure to email us at moprevention@pfh.org with any questions, and feel free to call us at 660-627-7404. Thanks for joining us, and have a great day.